Nashville's Music City roots, the Scythian is what happens when rock star charisma meets Celtic dervish fiddling. The Washington Post says Scythian's enthusiasm is contagious. Shows seem to end with everyone dancing, jumping around, or hoisting their glasses. We're thrilled to be joined today by Dan Federica, rhythm guitarist, accordion player, and vocalist. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in probably over a year now, I think, right?
Well, yeah, I think actually it was right before coronavirus hit. We did a show at your place in February.
Yeah, it feels like a world away now, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
we'll see. That really is a good segue, I guess, to the first question I had for you, which is, COVID has without a doubt affected and changed the live music and landscape. Would you have considered Scythian tech savvy before COVID? And how much more so now?
I guess I wouldn't have considered us troglodytes. Like we weren't, but we were not tech. I wouldn't say we were super tech savvy. We did stuff kind of, I hate social media. I just don't like, I'm not into it. It's not my thing. But we did it because we had to. Right. But then right before COVID hit, actually last year, we had a member join the band, Ethan Dean. He's actually from the Winchester area, and he's just a whiz. And he happened to own a recording studio before he joined the band. And so right when COVID hit, it was just an inspiration. I was like, we have to live stream.
Right, so now's the time.
Yeah, so I went and bought like the Duo, all the live streaming stuff, and then it was sold out, like basically for the next 7 months. But luckily we got ours in right at the start. I didn't even know anything about live streaming. So we weren't super tech savvy, but we were like we have to figure something out because I didn't think it was gonna maybe last this long, but I knew it was gonna be a while. And so like our first stream that we did, it was just with the iPhone, and no mics or anything. It was just like regular internet service. So it was very grainy, and we had like 50,000 views. And we're like, okay, because people are like, we're freaking out. We need something to distract us, even though this is crap. I'll watch it. So then we're like, well, let's do another stream. So then all my gear came in the mail, and we just sat down and we're like, let's figure this out. And I have to say our first 3 streams were kind of rough. And so it just ended up being perfect timing. Like after our second stream, someone knocked on my door and said, oh, we just brought, what's it called? Fiber optic to your neighborhood. So I signed up for that.
The best of the best. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to, like, a lot of people were complaining about glitchiness, poor audio quality. And then it was just amazing just seeing all these musicians chattering back and forth. We're talking to our agent. It's like, these are what my other artists are doing. And it was just everybody was scrambling because like I knew a few bands that were pretty tech savvy before this, but not that many. I know we're just live performers. And so we got something called Switcher Studio. So we have 5 cameras set up, and my wife just goes and she just flips it, and it makes it feel like much more like a live show with 5 cameras.
Yeah, it's very interactive. I know you've had like a magician at points, so it's like it's not your average band's stream anymore. And I think you're calling it core stream, right? Or corn stream?
The corn stream, yeah. One of our fans, actually the first stream that we did, one of our fans coined that phrase, the corn stream. And so it's kind of become this crazy thing is we knew everybody's freaking out. All live music has stopped in venues. All festivals were canceled. We lost 95% of our shows. But so we just started reaching out to festivals and venues and saying, listen, like, you need content. Your fans need to hear live music. So would you cross post our live streams? And we'd get like 15 to 20 festivals and venues partnering, and including you guys. And the results were insane. I think we did 12 streams in season 1. So now we're into season 2.
Of course.
12 streams, and the average was between 40 and 50,000 views per stream, and over 2,500 comments per stream. So it ended up being this huge community. And so every time we were like, okay, how can we up our game? So we got the Switcher studios, and then, like you said, we started getting guest performers. So Switcher has this thing where you can get people tuning in. So we got a magician from Columbus, Ohio. We've had artists, four bands from Ireland guest on the stream, some local, US bands. So we kind of turned it into a variety show. We also like spent our weeks writing and performing skits and editing them together. And we've got a green screen on this last week. I inserted myself into Michael Jackson's Thriller. So like, we're definitely trying to up our game. And this is stuff that we had no clue when COVID started. So it's been fun. And a lot of it has been fan driven.
No, it's amazing because, that was one of the other questions I had for you, is that, you guys are known for being aggressive in your promotions. I remember the first show we booked with you, you were showing up at like Gaelic Storm show and you had little jokes with them and everything, but you're always really connected. You're always really connected to your fans. And I just didn't know, could you talk a little bit about that work ethic as a band, how that breaks out by the members, how much of it is, DIY? Because as you said, you've talked to your agent, but a lot of this is you guys just taking the reins, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, some of the feedback, we're not very sure of what we are, how we're perceived, but the feedback over the years from buyers and from fans alike has been that we are kind of unique. And a lot of our agent said, you're nothing like them, but you kind of have the vibe of a Grateful Dead. Your following has that type of loyalty, and it's kind of a culture that follows you guys. And I think that's a large part because we are kind of a hard band to pigeonhole.
Yeah.
Our music's all over the place, but because of that, we're kind of a hard band to book. Like, you're not gonna be like, oh, we're on the country music station or on the pop station, because we're all over the board. So we don't really fit anywhere. And so we've been very cognizant from the start that the only reason we're successful is because of our fans. And so we always put a premium on meeting our fans after our shows. So it's not uncommon for us to do autographs after a show for about 2 hours.
Right.
So, this is our 16th year. We've probably done thousands of hours of autographs. So that when we started doing our live streams and we made a personal appeal, we have a very large email list too. We made that personal appeal. It wasn't just like a record label asking the fans, support, this guy. They've actually talked to us, and we sell a lot of merchandise because our fans realize that for us to stay on the road, they have to support us. So they've always been our record label for all these 15 years. And we've felt it very strongly this year, because right before COVID hit, we had finished recording the tracks for our new album, which is coming up, but they had funded the whole album.
That's amazing.
With crowdfunding, and then they'd almost gone $20,000 over our goal. So we knew we had a very generous fan base. And once this started, like, boom, everyone's tuning in and they're sharing it with everyone else. So then you're getting 40 to 50,000 views per stream, and you're like, in all the comments, it's insane. We're like, what the heck? We didn't even know we'd have this kind of reach amidst the ashes of like a totally decimated touring world.
Yeah, well, I think, you said it right, that it's hard to pick where you are genre-wise. When Bill and I talked about it, we paired these interviews with another band, and we said, who else is going to be on this episode? And I said, somebody fun, I guess. Like, that was the word I could think of. Was like, it's got to be genuine, it's got to be fun. And like you said, you do make a mark. Like, ever since I've met you, I feel like I know you better than I do. You know what I mean? Like, you're very forthcoming, you're very warm. The band as a whole has just been great to work with.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not unique in the way that you're the only one, but you're very genuine, and you're very again, you build that community. Like, I felt that sense of community when I first met you. And that's another thing, is many bands aspire to play a festival. Scythian just took it a step further, and you created your own. So people might not be aware about that. Can you talk a bit about Appaloosa Festival, like how that came to be, how that's grown? That seems like another part of your larger community.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the tail end of we're very immigrant work ethic. My mom and dad immigrated from Ukraine when they were kids, and growing up, they just rode us so hard. And so when we started the band, even in the early days when we were just a pub band, we always had it in our mind, it's like, no, let's produce our own events, because we always Ukrainians love to host. They love to have parties. We love to sing and dance, and it's just part of our blood. So we always knew we were good at throwing parties. So when we were just 2 or 3 years in, we were the house band for Fedora Irish Pub in Chinatown, DC. So we said, you know what, we're gonna rent the Carnegie Library, which was right around the corner. It's a 50,002 square foot marble building,
No
and
big deal.
we're just gonna rent it and throw a New Year's masquerade ball. And we were sweating because just the rent for the building alone was $20,000. And we're a pub band, so we're like, yeah, we'll do it. So we took a huge risk, but we knew that we had a good following, and then we knew we would make it happen. And it was crazy. We had 4 beam spotlights, Model Ts, red carpets. We had 5 different bands in there, and we ended up selling out 1,100 people for a masquerade ball. And
On your first one.
Our first one, yeah. And our expenses were over $100,000. So I think we made like 102,000. So we made about $2,000 off of that. But it was a heck of a party. And so then we did it the next year, sold that out again. And then that was just early on experience that if we took a big risk with a huge budget, because we don't have sponsorship dollars, that we could probably pull it off or just lose a little bit of money. And so, we were always leaving DC to find work. There was no roots music festivals within 100, 200 miles of here. So we said, this is a huge void in one of the biggest cities in the United States. So let's start our own festival. There's a need. I think we can do this. We've done this before. And so we took a huge risk. We didn't even get our permit for the festival until 4 weeks before the festival. And 100 people showed up the first year. And we had 20 bands. And it was really cool because we did all of our bookings until our management company picked us up. So we're friends with a lot of the festival organizers because I did the bookings personally. So a lot of them came and volunteered. A lot of the major festivals like Merle Fest.
That's awesome.
Bristol Rhythm and Roots, the founder of that, she was volunteering. She wrote the letter of recommendation, which gave our county faith in us. We had probably 5 or 6 festival directors volunteering our first year. And we took all of our favorite elements of all of our festivals and we put it into Appaloosa. And we're like, okay, let's do it again. And so the next year we had 5,500 people. And then last year we had 8,300 people show up. And we built our own permanent main stage. A guy, Bold Rocksider, donated the lumber. A guy we did a barn raising. We just over a weekend. It looks like an old Virginia barn. So we're always taking huge risks. We get some sponsorship dollars, but mostly what it is just having our fans rally, and then just we're never making much money, but it's
still that 2,000 mark every time.
Literally, it's mostly it's slight losses every year for us,
right?
But it's worth it for us because it's our hometown. I grew up in this town in Front Royal, Virginia. So every Labor Day now, after 5 years, people know the Labor Day is Appaloosa weekend, and we're showing up, and it's one of the things that we loved about some of the festivals that we played. After a while, it's the bands are kind of a secondary thing. It's like you're coming back because you're having all the friends that you camp next to every year. It becomes this culture thing, and we were trying to, after we founded it 5 years ago, and we're like, we've been a band over 10 years. Look, we can't tour forever. So what can we create that will let us stay in the game and kind of promote bands that have the same spirit as we do, and create an atmosphere and an environment. And actually our live shows are very much about that. Like, how can we get all these strangers to be friends? And that's why our music is very interactive. It's very dancey. And that for us is always I guess that's why no show ever gets old for me, is like, I have a challenge. They're standing there and I have to prove myself to them, but they don't know by the end of the show, if I do my job, they're going to be dancing and like high-fiving each other. And so that's kind of like our philosophy of the band, and that's definitely the philosophy behind our festival. Is like, I want people, like, our motto is music amongst friends, and you may be friends and not even know yet. And that's been proven true.
Well, yeah, and like you said, every review, every testimonial, myself included, like, you become a believer in that, and it's really not a sales pitch, it's authentic. I remember your first show with us, you said, hey, we need to fit a dance troupe here, so between 10 and 30 girls, how many can we fit? You know, it wasn't like there's not going to be a dance troupe or there is going to be a dance troupe. It's the dance troupe is coming, how many can we fit? And that was fun because it's a challenge you don't get every day, and it was something that no other show had done. So we're like, okay, yeah, we need to make this work. We need to figure this out. And like you said about supporting Front Royal, it's like, you know, supporting that dance troupe. Your community is so unique in the sense that you enrich other communities with yours, and it all becomes one community. You know, like you said, you went from getting a letter to prove to Front Royal that it would be good for the festival to the festival kind of, I think, helps put Front Royal on the map in a lot of ways.
Well, we were shocked. We were shocked with how many waves Appaloosa made in the festival community. Like, well, in our second year, we were nominated for Best Family Festival at the Fest X Awards in Las Vegas. And the other people that we're going against were Austin City Limits, Jazz Fest New Orleans, Lucidity Festival, and Appaloosa Festival.
So many well-established and so many that have been going for a decade plus ahead of you or something like that.
Yeah, so we're like, how are we even in this group? We didn't win, but we were still to be nominated one, of that small crowd. Only in our second year was incredible. And we went to a festival conference because now we're festival organizers. So, the people that typically book us are now our colleagues. And we went to the conference to learn how to do things. And it was really strange because, like, on day 2, pretty much everybody was just asking us, how did you do this? How did you pull this off? And we're like, we're the rookies, but everyone was asking us how we accomplished what we did.
Right.
And so we did, when you have to make it happen, like when you're in an independent band, or if you're a festival that is not put on by like a bunch of investors, sometimes you'll create something that's amazing, but you don't even know it because there's no option. Failure is not an option, and you're not even aware of how high you climbed or how things came together. But I think the X factor is, our festival, we have over 35 managers, and they volunteer. And then we have over 350 volunteers. And it's literally just generosity. People are giving of themselves. And some people will do double, triple shifts. And so anyone that walks into our festival environment realizes there's something different here, because it's not a corporate thing. It's just literally people giving of themselves. And I feel for us, it's very humbling, but it also keeps us kind of like true to our roots. Like, you can't really say, yeah, we're awesome, I have a Grammy, or it's just like very cognizant. If they don't show up, if they don't rally, we don't eat. And in one sense, it would be nice to get that, platinum record and be able to relax a little bit. But my brother and I have talked about it a lot. Is like, it's almost like you see it happening in some bands, like Mumford & Sons' first album was just so raw. And then the second one came out and you're like, it's lost some of the charm.
Right. How long did they spend with a producer in a studio, and the polish is just different?
Yeah. And I've seen it with the Avett Brothers. It happened that way too, because we used to tour with the Avett Brothers before they got big. And, as soon as they go big and they're making the big bucks, just that the sink or swim, like, energy is gone.
Right.
And so it's kind of, for us, we consider it kind of a blessing to be always, we're making enough. We've been doing this for 16 years. We're making enough to be able to do it, but never quite enough to lose the fact that without our fans, we're nothing. Or without the people that buy tickets that come to our venue shows. So I think gratitude has been for us kind of like the thing that's kept it charming, kept it exciting, and you never know what's going to happen. And that's what we found too, is a lot of people just like things dropping in your lap, like, oh, an Irish dance troupe wants to dance with us, or this major news source somehow caught wind of us and want to do a story. Or like we got a phone call once, like, hey, we want you to play for the president on St. Patrick's Day. And we're like, we didn't do any of that.
Right.
But yeah, we were this band, that's a pub band in DC that ended up playing for the president of Ireland and the United States. And we didn't do anything to deserve it. But it kind of makes it really magic. And I guess I would say it keeps it blue collar for us.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to disagree with you. I think you do deserve it. And I think you deserve it for the best reason, which is that you work for it. And, you talk so much about this longevity. It's one of those things where, I have to ask, you have this brand new album coming out. So, tell me a little bit about that. And then, what's next for Scythian? We're talking season 2 of the stream. We're talking season 1 of the VR experience. We're talking.
Yeah, I know. So we're pretty pumped. Like we all of a sudden last summer, we had written some tunes, but there was just this creative explosion. When Ethan Dean from the Winchester area joined our band, he was just what we were looking for. We've always felt, in a sense, that we needed to have an upright bass in the band. But Ethan was originally our substitute drummer, so he can drum. He's an upright bass player. He's a really creative force, and it was just basically the missing piece where everything clicked. And then next thing we knew, we had album ready. Went into the studio, recorded the album in its entirety in 9 days, and it's so much better on every level. Like our agent was like, holy crap, like I've never heard anything this solid. I said, this is just a quick listen. I haven't even listened to the content of the songs. So the album is called Roots and Stones, and it's all original. And it's so much better than anything we've put out before that we're literally like, we just can't wait. So like COVID took away all of our options to release the album. So we started we're doing singles. So we just released the first single on Spotify. And now it's on all platforms, but it's called Galway City. And it's fun. We have a buddy of ours from Ireland playing the button box on there, guesting on that. And so we also have a music video. So we've been shooting music videos. We've never done music videos. Somehow we've never done music videos in 15 years. So this is the first album that we're doing videos for. So on November 14th, our next single is dropping. It's called The Best Friend Song, and with the music video. And our whole goal is just to kind of get our Spotify presence boosted, because it's really strange with the algorithms. If you just get enough interest, then all of a sudden, like, your song gets on playlists.
Right, all these featured playlists start popping up, and you're automatically added, and you don't have to submit to them; it just happens. Yeah,
and so we did that. We call it a Spotify ambush. So with our single Galway City, it just got a ton of plays, and then we got a request from the Irish Post, which is like out of the UK. It's one of the biggest newspapers there. It's like kind of like the New York Times. Like their Facebook page has 2.5 million followers.
Right.
So they said, "Can we play your video?" I'm like, okay. But that's because our fans got on and were listening to our single, and it was getting noticed. So now the Irish Post is asking us if we'll do a live stream for them, for their 2.5 million fans. We were kind of saying, okay, we have an incredible album, but let's promote this thing. So we were calling publicists, and publicists are like, no, we're not promoting your album. First of all, why are you releasing an album? We're releasing it on November 28th. That's Thanksgiving weekend, Saturday. Like, why are you dropping an album now? No one's doing that. And no publicist is going to take you on because of the election and COVID. You can't get anything publicized. So this is kind of the way we roll too. We're like, okay, we're going anyway, and we're going to release it during a live stream on November 28th. And we're asking our fans to be our publicists. And it's kind of one of those things. This idea is just so crazy, it might work. But because of that, like, there's nobody. It's a desert, and the fact that we're dropping our album in the middle of a desert, it's going to get noticed.
It's going to be refreshing, yeah.
it's going to be refreshing, and I think people are going to rally. And there isn't much to write about in the music world, but people need music now more than ever, I believe.
I agree.
And a lot of people, it's like conventional wisdom says, don't do this. We're like, no, this is something that people need. And I think the people are going to be the ones that are going to help us break through. And I think if this album has all the legs to break through and get noticed nationally, internationally. It's cool. We got interviewed by Errol Collins from iHeartRadio, and he gave us the full review, and it was incredible to hear, someone from iHeartRadio, but he was saying that this album is going to basically make other musicians go back and rethink what they're doing. So I'm like, okay, this is really cool. The first review is in, because we only have our perspective. So it's cool to hear someone that's in, a radio host.
Right.
So I do believe we do have a lot of faith in this album. It has lots of legs, but it's going to be interesting because it's going to be our fans and the people that are tuning in on the corner streams that are going to basically be the ones to get it out there.
I have full faith in it. And like you said, it's the story is that you've been doing this for over a decade, and somehow your trajectory just keeps going up and up, from the festival to the streams to the CDs. So, I have no doubt in it. Amanda Palmer once talked about how she trusts her fans endlessly. And so many albums have been based off of their donations or their input, or she's had art exhibits where she stood and their fans could just come up and interact with her, touch her, her arm, her shoulder, her hand. And there was no worry in her mind. And I feel like that's the type of level you guys have with your fans. So it's just crazy. We'll see more and more of you over time. That's what's the best part, is you're talking about the long game and how touring's a young man's game, but I don't think your fans are going to let you end anytime soon. It sounds like you're only going up and up.
What's crazy is because of the festival, we have basically just rebooted our fan demographic. We kept all of our fans from before, and very often, that's the age demographic that sticks with you. But then all of a sudden, we have all these college kids
Wave two of fans.
Wave two, and also we have a kids project that we do called Cake for Dinner, and that's a huge hit at our festival. We do 2 kids shows every weekend. So those kids eventually are going to be in college. So it just kind of we find it's replenishing itself. It's awesome for us because we'll look down, we'll see 13-year-olds and 80-year-olds in the crowd and everyone in between. And somehow they're all our fans. And we're really like, a lot of our friends, they scratch their heads and I'm like, how did you pull this off? Like typically you go to one demographic and that's who you're catering to. But they're like, we're so jealous of your fan base. And I see why. I mean, I think we really do have some of the most loyal fans. And the same thing too is like they're kind of friend fans. Like I could just hang out with any of our fans and we don't have anything inappropriate or weird. Sometimes you can get weird stuff. I've heard some crazy stories from friends on the road. But yeah, our fans are just, and what often says the people that run venues will often comment on how nice our fans are and how much they drink.
Mm-hmm.
So the combination, typically when you drink, they get ornery. But we did incredible at the bar, at the ring tonight, and they're some of the nicest people. And I think that does pretty much accurately describe our fan base. And I think I'm pretty excited. I'm doing a big push here until November 28th because I'm in charge of the press for the album because no publicist will take us. So I have a feeling that we'll have a couple of big breaks here before the album drops that are going to help get it out there. But in the meantime, if you're watching this, we need your help. We are on Spotify. Like us, also Instagram. We need to stay in touch with you guys. And so we're telling our fans sometimes, just put on a repeat on Spotify. And it's funny, they are doing it. And like our single already, this is our second week out. I think we have over 40,000 listens.
That's impressive. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so you're like, okay, this fan base is for real. They're going to get us out there.
I have no doubt in it. So, Dan, thanks for taking time to chat with us. We'll be posting all the links ourselves. As you said, we share the corn streams. We're not going to stop that anytime soon. It's just too much fun. So be safe, be well. I hope the next time I see you is on stage, whether that's online or in person. I can't wait.
Thanks, Josh. And thanks for helping keep the music alive.
You as well. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace.
Bye.